everyone. It is the Friday before my Strongman competition, and I have been up since 3 a.m., which is really not a good start for the weekend. Been having a lot of setbacks, and so I wanted to talk about what the plans are for the competition, go into a little bit of prep, and talk about what's been going on the last 4 weeks. So about 4 weeks ago was my 39th birthday. And the week after that, I took off from work to work on flooring. And this was supposed to be kind of an easy project. Ended up taking a lot longer than expected. So the whole week, I ended up waking up first thing in the morning, working on flooring, and missing lunch. And then by 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night, we would stop. And everybody was too tired to cook, so we would just get something from either fast food or takeout place, and that really wasn't great for the diet, but I ended up maintaining. So I was 254.6 before that, and I ended up at like 256, which wasn't too bad. The unfortunate part was the next week I had to go back to work, and although we bought snap-in flooring, which sounds kind of easy, it was not easy. You could not just get them to go together all the way, and luckily my dad had some tools that he was able to lend us. He showed us how to put this stuff together. And I found out that not a single wall in my house is straight. And we had a lot of problems putting in that. So I'll put in a couple of pictures of before and after on the house. And if you guys want more details on that, I can make a separate video. But unfortunately, during the week off, I was so tired and worn out from doing all the flooring, I wasn't able to train. The next week I did get 2 training sessions in, and then last week was my last week of training. And going into this competition, I had signed up, I think it was early April. Everything was going really well after having had hip surgery, and then I injured my psoas muscle while helping my grandmother with her fences that had been knocked over in a storm due to some setbacks with crushing my toe when I was installing a sliding glass door. And I was struggling for months with the hip issue. Then late May, I was working on my son's Ninja Warrior course, and when I was coming off the ladder, I stepped wrong, rolled my ankle very badly, and have been dealing with excruciating pain in my right ankle ever since. So long story short, I haven't really got to train as much as I would normally like for a competition. This is the least prepared I've ever been for a competition. I've only gotten 2 deadlift sessions in the last 4 months. I've gotten a couple of overhead pressing sessions in. I haven't trained several of the events, so I'm not feeling very confident, but hey, I already signed up, I already paid for it, so I'm gonna go, I'm gonna do my best, and the main goal is to not get hurt. The second goal is to try and finish every event. So going into the competition, there are 5 events. The first event is going to be a Viking press where you are facing away from the implement. And how this works is you have 60 seconds to do as many reps as you can, and if you set it down, it's over. Unlike other competitions, you can double dip and you can split jerk. I don't really have a good technique on either of those. And so I'm gonna say what I think realistic expectation is of how many reps I'm gonna get, and then kind of my stretch goal. So for the Viking press, I think somewhere between 5 and 7 reps at 215 pounds is reasonable. My stretch goal is gonna be 10. Do I think that's very realistic or possible? No. For me, facing forward's a lot easier. That's something that I've trained. It's something that I have equipment to play around with, and you can use a little bit different body mechanics, whereas when you're facing away from it, it's entirely different. It uses a little bit different part of your tricep at the top, and my handle didn't work, so I'm not really confident about that. The second event is a sandbag carry where you are loading 2 sandbags to the end, and then you are sitting in a tire and they have a rope and you do an arm over arm pull to bring a tote towards you. Now, last year, the tote wasn't weighed. This year, they are going to be using the weight of the last sandbag in your tote. The first sandbag is 230 pounds. The second sandbag is 250 pounds. And then the pull is the tote plus the 250. So on this one, I'm pretty sure I can get the first sandbag. The second sandbag, the 250, I am not confident about. So full disclosure, I have never finished a front carry. Last year, I was the only one that didn't finish. It's been an ongoing battle with me. And then with the hip injury and the ankle injury, just picking up the sandbag when I'm leaning forward like that, it puts a lot of pain on the ankle. And then the short arms don't help. Like a 200-pound sandbag, the distance I have to get my arms around is a lot easier, a lot more manageable. When you go to the 250, it's like this much longer and this much wider. And so my T-Rex arms have a really hard time with that. So realistically, I think I can get the 230. The 250 is up in the air. If I can get a good handle on it, I might be able to finish it. If I can't, then it's going to be yet another year of failing my goal. So my first goal when I started doing strongman competitions was to not zero an event. And I eventually did do that. And then my goal changed to I want to finish every event. And I have been so far unsuccessful, mostly due to front carries. So will this be the year with all these setbacks? I don't know. We'll see. The third event is a Fingal's Finger. Now they have not announced how much this weighs. I don't have a way to train it. I've never done a Fingal's Finger. This is a complete wild card. Am I going to zero? Will I be able to do one? No idea. I'm a little bit worried about it because, again, haven't really trained it. So we'll see how that goes. Fourth event is a car deadlift. It is going to be side handles. And the approximate weight of the car is supposed to be around 500 pounds. So I think realistically I should be in the 6 to 8 range. And then the stretch goal is going to be 10. That's kind of what I'm aiming for. And the fifth and final event is Atlas Stone. It's going to be a 280-pound Atlas Stone. And you are going to be lifting it over bar, and then somebody's going to push it back to you. And you have 60 seconds to take the stone over as many times as you can. So stones, I've only got to do 2 training sessions with, and they did not go well. So on this one, I think realistic, 1 to 3 maybe, and the stretch would be 5. It really depends how my body's holding up after doing all of these other events. Normally, I'm fairly good with stones from 200 to 280. And then the diameter jumps, and I've been very unsuccessful at doing the 300-pound plus stones because they're a bigger diameter. And same thing with sandbag. Short arms, I have a really hard time with the leverages. But because I haven't really gotten to do stones much this year, I have no idea how that's going to go. So tomorrow, I'm going to be heading out there. I've got a weigh-in. The competition starts at 10. And, just going to have fun. Unfortunately, Glenn's not going to be able to make it. He had a scheduling conflict. He didn't realize, although I told him every single time we were talking about the competition, it's the last weekend in July. It's the last weekend in July. He has a wedding for his family that is the last weekend in July. And he was talking to me 2 weeks ago about it. And I'm like, that's the day of the competition. No, it's not. Yeah, it is. I guarantee you it is. No, it's not. It's the weekend before. So I had to pull out the competition. I'm like, it's right here. It's always been the last weekend in July. So going out there without Glenn, that'll be an interesting change. This is the first time that he hasn't been there. And so is that going to be a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. We'll see. I told him, this was his best chance to beat me in a competition, but he wanted to go to wedding. So now I'm going to just show you guys kind of the bag packing, what kind of stuff I'm bringing for those of you who are interested. And if you don't stick around, I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Have a great weekend, and good luck with all your goals. Go lift something heavy. And of course, I forgot to mention the reason I was up at 3 a.m., right? So I have mentioned before, and for those of you who are unaware, I do have rheumatoid arthritis. And I've been very blessed with my rheumatoid arthritis that it typically only happens if I get overly stressed, and it only attacks one joint at a time. So it's fairly easy to deal with, and generally I don't get many flare-ups per year. However, this is the week of the Strongman competition. I just found out with work that we are having federal examiners come in, and my role, I have to get all of the materials gathered together for everyone. And I was doing a lot of things with my job, and so now I'm trying to juggle getting that done with getting the exam prep, and then of course the flooring. We've been working on that, and I had to stop this week and say, you know what, I can't do any more till after the competition. It's putting a lot of unnecessary stress on my ankle, which again has not healed, and my knees. So I have to push that to the back burner, but it's still in my head. And I got a flare up in my right shoulder on Wednesday. And how that works is at about 12, I was feeling like, oh man, something's going on in my shoulder. I was driving around to the different branches and I said, I must have slept on it wrong. By 3 o'clock, when I was coming home, I could no longer lift my arm up at all. Like I could maybe get around lower chest height, and that's as far as I could go, and it was an excruciating pain. So I went to the after hours clinic, and I had to get 2 shots, and they prescribed me prednisone. And so now I'm holding the camera with the shoulder, so now I can move it, which is a good thing for the competition. And you do need your shoulder for every single event. But the prednisone does have some side effects with sleeping. And so like my chest is all red from starting to take it. And I had a very difficult time falling asleep last night, and I woke up at 3. So great thing to have right for the competition, right? So I'm going to try really hard tonight to go to bed early. I might try and take some sleep aids to just get as much sleep as I can. But like I said, unprepared, and we're more unprepared. Look, there's Dex. He likes to sit there. He thinks things are going to come in and get us. He's a good watchdog. Aren't you, Dex? Good boy. Yeah. Come here. Look, that's you. Can you say hi? Dex. Oh. He said hi to me. All right, let's get into the bag. All right, so this is all the stuff that I'm bringing to the Strongman competition, walk you through kind of what each piece of equipment is for. So the first thing I've got here are my compression shorts. These are Reband compression shorts. And I found that these provide quite a little bit of support and warmth in the hip area. And since I've been struggling with the hip and the psoas muscle for months, I decided that I needed these, and these will be worn for every single event. I don't feel like they give me a whole lot of extra strength. It's just that warmth and the support keeping everything in place. Then I've got a grip shirt from Starting Strongman. Now this thing has all these little grips on there which help you to not have things slide away from you. Now the only one that I'm going to be wearing this on is the sandbag carry, because I need all the help I can get with holding that up. Next we've got the soft belt, also from Reband. And this thing I'm going to be using for the sandbag and potentially the deadlift. Then I've got my 11 millimeter belt here. This is going to be used for every single event except for the Atlas stones. Then I've got 2 different pair of wrist wraps. These will be used for both the Viking and the Fingal's fingers, since I'm going to be having weight overhead. I want to make sure my wrists don't cave in on me. Then I've got elbow sleeves. These are from APT. So these do provide a little bit of extra strength when you're trying to lock out your triceps. So same thing, Viking and the Fingal's fingers, since I'm going to have implements over my head. Then we've got our knee sleeves. These are the strong sleeves, and I had 2 pair of these. These are the smaller pair, which have been fitting quite well since the diet, which again is another thing. Like, I'm going to be almost 25 pounds less than the last competition I did, which is not really helpful when you're trying to do strongman competitions. Generally, you want to be eating and getting heavier so that you can lift as much as possible. So that hasn't helped anything, but you know what? We're sticking with the diet. After the strongman competition, I'm going to be going back to regular training, try and make sure that everything in my hip and the psoas are healed completely, and try and get my ankle taken care of. Now, I don't have them here, but I did buy some new ankle braces, which I got to make sure I pack. Now we're going to get into the deadlift, lifting straps. So I do have a pair of figure 8s I'm going to bring with me too. I've been training with these, so these are probably the ones I'm going to use. And with strongman, you guys have to have a lot of shoes. So I've got my Chucks. These are a very flat shoe, which I'm going to be using for the overhead press and the deadlift. Then I've got my Adidas Sambas. These have a little bit more of a bottom, a sole to them, but they're still flat, so I like using these for walking events. So I'm going to be using this on the sandbags. I haven't decided what shoes I'm going to wear for the fingers. As I said, it's an unknown. I have to test the floor and see if it's slippery at all. If it is, I might actually just wear normal tennis shoes. And then we've got the boots. And these are going to be used for the Atlas Stones. So with Atlas Stones, we're loading it over a 52-inch bar. I'm assuming it's going to be a bar, it could be a platform. And you want any extra height you can get. So, boots. Then we've got chalk. We've got these nice cable ties to hold my stone sleeves. We've got the stone sleeves. We've got scissors to get out of the cable ties. We've got all important tacky for the Atlas Stones. Chalk, goop. Goop removes the Atlas Stones very, very well. Always have to bring that. Got some paper towels to get off the goop after the stones. And then inside I have to get the rest of my stone loading clothes. But I do have these, and they're just some, I guess, spandex pants that I wear over top of my knee sleeves to prevent them from getting tacky all over them, because I do use the knee sleeves. I didn't mention that. Knee sleeves will be used for every event. I don't see any cons to wearing the knee sleeves on every event. And then inside, got to pack up the rest of the food, and I got a couple of supplements, things that I'm going to take with me.